Alrighty, how's it going, everyone? I'm doing good, thanks. Had a lot of fun this weekend. Before we get started, oh boy, we're right in the middle of college free agency, so excuse me. Still have about 4 guys to sign. I'd just like to say a few things about the weekend. We're excited about the players we've added during this weekend. We still have a lot of work to do, we believe, as a team, but we do feel we got better thanks to the hard work of a lot of people in the building. And it wasn't just about me. It's not about Vic. It's been months of preparation going into the draft, the scouts, everyone on the personnel side, Vic, the coaches, the support staff. It's been a collaborative process all the way. And this is my first draft, obviously, as a GM. And I was really fortunate to have such a strong foundation in place, in place by John Elway and Matt Russell as well, and Joe Ellis. So I was very fortunate, being a first-time GM, to have a lot of resources to do what we did the past couple days. It's been a great partnership with Vic and the coaching staff, a collaboration all the way. I mean, we would sit in rooms for hours discussing players, how they fit, Vic's vision, the coach's vision. And that's what it's all about. When you're in my shoes, when you're with the scouts, you just want to be able to discuss and collaborate, and it's really been smooth since the moment I walked in the door. And I just want to thank a few people on the college side. Brian Stark did a great job of managing our scouts. He's our college director, as well as Darren Muji, who's our assistant college director, did an outstanding job, as well as Nick Shirelli, our East Regional scout. They took a leadership role, especially because I was new. We implemented a lot of different things, and they took the bull by the horns and did a great job. Our scouts, this is their Super Bowl. These guys were not able to go on the road last fall. And even this fall, they had to get all the background from their homes. And they're used to going out on the road, getting into schools, getting in, with their sources. And so, they had to be creative. How are we going to get the information? How are we going to get the background? And again, doing this in your home with your kids, with your family. These guys are used to being on the road, so I give them a lot of credit. I mean, this is their draft, these guys. They put in the work. And they never get enough credit. They're like independent contractors. No one knows who they are, but they do all the work. And so whatever success we have in this draft, it's because of them. And I just want to mention a few. Eugene Armstrong, David Bratton, Scott DeStefano, Francie Jourdain, Dion Randall, Robbie Paton, Brian Chesson, and a couple of our interns as well, our scouting assistants, I should say, Eddie Simpkins, Tanner Norton, and Rod Rook Chukong. All these guys worked hard, and again, it was a collaborative effort. Our pro scouts as well. They had a great job. I thought they did a really good job in free agency. Like I said, we filled a lot of holes. These guys were here from morning to late at night. Again, I was putting in new structure, a new protocol, and these guys grabbed the bull by the horns. They worked their butt off. I thought we did a nice job in free agency. AJ Durso, our pro director, Jordan Dizon, and Patrick Walsh, our pro scouts. So these guys get a lot of credit. They're also involved in the college side as well, helping out, cross-checking. They're negotiating right now with college free agents, and they're still grinding. The importance of analytics. I've talked about analytics. It is so important to get that edge over other teams, and I've been really impressed with the staff here. Tony Lazaro, Scott Flaska, and their staffs. These guys did a great job. Again, I'm new. They speak a different language than me, and Vic, but they've been really good, so I could kind of understand where they're coming from, and I couldn't be more impressed. On the football operations side, Rich Hurtado helping us with trades and contracts, free agency. He's there now grinding, the college free agency part of it. He's just worked his butt off ever since I've got here. Mark Thews with compliance, logistics. Ray Jackson, director of player development and character review. Ray, we draft Patrick Surtain, and Ray's here all day. First day of the draft, gets on a plane at 10:30, flies to Carolina, and then flies to Cleveland. He's up all night just so he could fly back with Pat and his family, and that's what Ray's all about. He's all about the team, and really been impressed with Ray. Dr. Nicole Lennon, she assists. She's our sports psychologist. She's assisted us in the draft as well, and did a really nice job, with some of our targeted players. On the administrative side, our draft setup, in the draft room, if you could see our draft room, it was amazing. They took the team room that the players use for their team meetings, and they turned it into a draft room, and it was really unbelievable, second to none. Russ Trainer and Steve Boxer, along with their staffs, like I said, great setups. I want to thank Pam Hapsdorf for her work behind the scenes, coordinating travel, logistics, onboarding for all the guys we've signed, all the draft picks that will be coming in. She's really an unsung hero for all of us, and the shame is I haven't met her yet. I feel like I have, but because she's not in the building, but she's been so helpful for me and everyone that, like I said, is onboarding. And finally, on the medical side, this was really difficult on the medical side for our trainers. We didn't have the combine, so they had to fly to the combine. You only had 150 medicals, and the rest, 254 players are drafted. So the rest, you have to do by phone, calling the colleges, and just kind of like scouts, just getting the background, getting the MRIs, getting the X-rays, and plus they're trying to rehab our players. And so, our director of sports medicine, Steve Greek, just completed his 46th draft, with the Broncos. He's been a part of drafting 420 plus Broncos over the years. This guy is such an incredible resource. I've only been here 5 months, and I've heard of him, as in Minnesota, and what a legend he is. But when you're in his presence, you go sit in his office and talk about players and history and players he's been around over the past. And he's been in our draft room all weekend, and just, a player would come up, Greek, what do you think of this guy? Shake his head, nope. And I'd ask him again. Next round, same player who's hurt. Greek, what about this guy? Shake his head. Ask him one more time, Greek, and he says, well, if you want to take him, take him, But he's been amazing for us. I also want to thank our head athletic trainer, Vince Garcia, has done an equally amazing job. And those guys, like I said, had a tough job. They've been outstanding. So it's been, like I said, a collaborative effort. I'm thankful for everyone in the building, thankful for Vic, and I think we had a nice draft. We'll see, time will tell. And then with that, I'll open it to questions.
Hey guys, one for each of you. Vic, can I get your rundown on the two safeties you drafted? And what stood out about that?
Yeah, Caden Stearns, the guy we took first, obviously been at Texas, went in there and had a good season or two early in his career, not as good this past season. And, so he slipped a little bit, but we're hopeful that we can get him turned back around and playing up to his potential and his ability. Then in the second, Jamar was, it's a case of George just sticking to the board. We just drafted a safety, and the next guy down, there was a pretty good separation, at any of the other positions. So we drafted him. We all had some good feelings about him. He's a guy that played good, didn't tackle as well as he should have all the time, which I think he alluded to with you guys. And but we like his talent, his potential, and his ability. And we'll see. It'll be good competition between those two guys and the other safeties that are already on the roster.
And then, George, offensively during this offseason, do you feel you've done enough to get some rapid improvement, and what gives you confidence in that regard?
I do. I think it's been heavy offensive drafts, before I came, and we have a young group of offensive players. I think they need to develop. We made, a few tweaks here and there. Obviously, we brought in Teddy. So I think the offense is going to grow and continue to grow. I like the young offensive talent. We did draft a receiver and an offensive lineman, and I don't know what other offensive players. It's Javante's not bad. So I do think we've added quite a bit of players that can help us.
George, I know you just spoke extensively about this first experience, but I'm wondering, after so many years in the league, was it what you envisioned? What was it like to kind of be in charge here for the first time?
It was everything I kind of envisioned. There really were no surprises. I felt it went pretty smooth throughout the last 3 days. It is different when you're making the final call, but It didn't feel a whole lot different, to tell you the truth.
And then secondly, what kind of special teams impact do you think today's selections will have?
Yeah, I think they're going to have a big impact. Tom McMahon, our special teams coordinator, evaluated just about every player in the draft, and so we targeted players that he liked. Not only that were good offensive or defensive players, but players that could be core teamers for us. We realized we lacked in special teams last year. We need guys that can cover and block and take pride in special teams. So all these players, that hopefully we drafted are going to take special teams seriously, and it's a big part of our game, obviously.
Hey guys, George Stoy with the Gazette. Vic, 7 out of the 10 players were defense. How happy were you with that, and how much better do you think you guys got on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, like I said earlier, that wasn't the plan by any means. It just, especially yesterday and today, it's kind of just the way the board fell. It was our turn to pick on a few of these guys. There was big separation between the player we took and anybody else on the board, and George just decided to go with the board and the higher-ranked guy by a good distance. So I don't think we had any plan to do that, but I like the competition it's created. We've obviously added a good bit of DBs, 4 in this draft. We obviously signed a couple in free agency, and we had the guys that were already on the roster. So that will be a competitive position group this training camp for sure. So that was it kind of happened that way. It wasn't a plan.
And I have a couple questions about Jonathan Cooper. First for you, Vic. He talked a little bit about, being more comfortable playing out in space. How do you think he'll play in coverage? And for George, he was very impressive in his Zoom press conference. How much did maybe his off-the-field leadership play into selecting him there in the 7th round?
Well, obviously, in the system he played in at Ohio State, he wasn't out in space very much, which is, that's a big transition for a lot of guys, one that we do each and every year with 1 or 2 guys from college. And we'll see how he does with it. But we like the makeup. You've obviously had a taste of it already. So when you have that kind of makeup, you can fight through and make the transition and not get too discouraged.
Yeah, I think you asked me about the makeup. Most of these players we draft, all the players, we were looking for that type of makeup, and he's special with the makeup. I went to the Ohio State Pro Day, and just watching the way he competed and went about his workout and took it serious, and how he worked out and what type of shape he was in, and then you speak with the kid. I mean, he's everything you want, in a teammate, and a player, and representing your organization.
For both of you guys, first of all, Seth Williams, what separated him from some of the other receivers that could have been in play today?
Special teams. We targeted him as one of the top special team players for receivers. He's like a piece of clay. He's really talented. He's big. He can run. As a receiver, he just needs to be molded. And Zach, our receiver coach, just can't wait to get a hold of him and develop him, and he believes him, as well as our special teams coach. So special teams was a big part of our 3rd day, and he was one of the top special teamers as a receiver.
And also, one more thing. What was the trade market like today, and were there opportunities to move up and move down, and why did you ultimately stand pat?
It wasn't great today. When you're not picking in the 4th, it's hard to move back and get much capital. And we had some teams that wanted to move up, but we liked the player that was there. So we just stood pat for the most. I think we didn't trade today, did we? I can't remember. They all kind of run together. But no, if you don't have that 4th round pick, it's hard to generate much value.
George, you didn't add a tackle in this draft. How do you kind of, what was sort of some of the reasoning behind that ultimately, and then how do you feel leaving the draft about kind of the depth going into? Yeah,
to tell you the truth, we targeted a few that were taken right before we took them, and it just didn't fall our way. Still feel good about our depth. I think we'll continue to look, on the market, in the free agent market, but and then we're signing 5 offensive linemen in college free agency, but. Sometimes it just doesn't fall. We had a tackle we liked, and he was taken right before, but that's just the way the draft goes.
George and Vic, where do you plan on playing Quinn Minor? Is he a center or guard, or the kid you got last night? Where does he, when you look back?
I think Munch is wanting to start him at center. But, those centers, unless you're the starter, you got to be able to play guard too. So he'll start at center, and Mike will manage it and determine when he gets him rolling at guard too.
And George, you did not draft a quarterback. Where are you with that room? Where do you go kind of from now for that position?
Yeah, I like our room right now. I think I said that last night with Teddy and Drew. They're going to have a great competition. That's what we've wanted all along. And, we'll let them compete. But I do like the room. Does it mean we won't continue to look? No. But, I say that about every position. But I do look forward to getting Teddy here and Drew and having a great competition.
A couple subjects for you. First, on cornerback, Vic, what'd you like about Kerry Vincent Jr. and George? Maybe how much did last year's cornerback depth and getting really down to the end of the roster kind of play into adding several of those guys?
Yeah, I'll start, Vic. With Vincent, he was a guy who didn't play this year. LSU, really talented, and he was just. It wasn't that we needed a corner, but he was sticking out like a sore thumb. I mean, this kid is really talented. And he was falling, and he's fast. He's a track guy. Had some injuries, so he was falling a little bit, but he can play nickel. He's played safety, and if we can get him right, I think he's a good kid. But if we can get him right health and to be a pro, I think he can be a really good player.
And Vic, how do you see him in the slot? Do you think he can make an impact there?
Yeah, we'll definitely give him an opportunity to learn the nickel and dime position. He's had experience doing that at LSU, and we'll obviously play some outside corner also. I don't see him going back to safety at this point, but if you can play the nickel position inside, it's a feather in your cap and helps you make a team.
And then George, at tight end, did you consider adding anybody there this weekend, and how do you feel about that position?
Yeah, we did. Again, we tried, at times, and it didn't quite fall our way. We like, we have three guys we like. We're going to continue to look. We'll sign some in for, college and free agency. We'll work the free agent market. We'd like to add another big guy that could block in line. And so we'll continue to look, definitely.
George, I just wanted to follow up on the quarterback question.
Yeah.
Were you close at any point the last 2 days, particularly, to having one that you liked close to where you were picking?
We did not. It just didn't fall our way, and it just, and we're happy with our group.
And like tackle, would you consider still looking in free agency, or are you?
Yes, no doubt. We're gonna look at tackle. We'll look at tight end, and
I'm at quarterback. Would quarterback be on that list as well?
We're always looking. You know what the market looks like right now. It's not great, and I don't think. We'll see if there's someone who can upgrade what we have, but we like our two. I mean, I like Drew, I like Teddy, and I think it's going to be a great competition.
And then just general on the board, I asked you last night a little bit, but a lot of people were kind of concerned coming into the draft how thin it might be today. Were you surprised at all? What was?
It's funny because I know you asked me that. It was strong. Probably fourth, fifth, and then it seemed like it fell off a cliff. It did fall a little bit, and we liked the players we got, but it did get thin, definitely.
One for each of you guys. Vic, what have the Greek and Vince given you reports on Cortland Sutton? What kind of progress he made, and when he's back healthy, how much can he help Judy and Hamler on the field at the same time?
He's doing really good. I mean, I watch him. I see him work out every day. I talk to him every day in the training room, and I can't imagine that he can be doing any better than he is at this stage in his rehab. I see him running. I see him in the weight room. He's got an unbelievable attitude. It's been infectious to the other guys that are rehabbing. So that leads into what you said. He'll help those guys once he's on the field too.
Quick follow-up. Do you expect Albert O and Essang Bassey to be ready for training camp?
Probably not right off the bat, full speed. I think, just because from a timing standpoint, Albert's injury was significantly earlier. So Bass has happened in December, but they're both doing really, really good. So I don't expect them to be totally cut loose and free. They'll have to be managed, but they both are doing very well.
Gotcha. George, too, for you, you were in Minnesota when Teddy went through his injury and his rehab. What do you remember about the perseverance and the character he showed during that year?
Yeah, it was amazing. You know, when Teddy, I mean, I remember the day he got hurt like it was yesterday, and you know, it shook the whole building to its core. I mean, and it was hard for the building to kind of get over it and start the season. And then just to see him kind of come back and rehab, you know, where they told him he probably wasn't going to play again. You know, there was a long shot. And just to see him every day come in and just work with a smile on his face and like I said, the perseverance, hard work, never woes me. You know, he never felt sorry for himself. He just kept grinding, working, and that's the type of person Teddy is.
Did you ever get close to making a trade with Minnesota this weekend?
We did, yeah. They were a little cheap on the, I was a little disappointed. Yeah, we did in about 3 rounds, but they weren't paying too much, so we backed out.